Alright, this is insane. I've just read through this dev diary, so you know what, maybe I'll read through them before I start talking about them. Just do a cursory once over so I'm a little bit more prepared, a little bit more, got my head in the game kind of thing. And oh my god, there's some really, really incredible stuff coming in this dev diary. I was not prepared. I was not prepared. Obviously, in the previous dev diary, the only hint of what we were going to get today was winter is coming. Obviously, Game of Thrones reference. Fantastic. Love that. As you can tell by the thumbnail, I ran with it. But I was not prepared for just what we were getting. My expectation was wintertime, food production goes down or completely eradicates, and you gotta deal with that. Maybe build granaries or whatever. Maybe the Saturday building is gonna be some kind of granary. Whatever. That's what I was expecting. I was expecting just that. Nothing revolutionary. Nothing, kind of insane. But we're getting something insane. This is actually. Let's just get into it because, I'm excited. Clearly, I'm obviously excited. Happy Wednesday. Talk about the top secret game with the codename Project Caesar. Gotta love that. The most hated of all seasons. Summer? Summer, right? No, just me. Okay. Lucky for us, we don't have to live for the entire year. I mean, I live in Finland, so I experience it for like 5 months of a year. But obviously, all these guys are in Barcelona, so they don't. What impacts whether a location has winter or not? Well, primarily depends on the climate, but also the time of the year and the level of winter currently nearby. Of course, when there is winter, it's different for the northern and southern hemispheres. Every day, each location does its calculations for when it should be changing its winter level. That's crazy to me. This part is crazy because, as far as I'm aware from my experience with modders, not modding because I'm dumb, modders, having a check every single day for something in every single location, there's 27,000 locations. If every single one of them is doing a check every single day to decide whether it should change its winter level, is that not some kind of a bit heavy? No, I don't know. Maybe it isn't. Maybe it's fine. But either way, 3 levels of winter, or 4, but no winter is not really a winter. Fair enough. During the course of a season, a location could experience all types of winter. They have mild, normal, and severe. That's the same as EU4. What is common for all levels of winter is that they affect attrition for your armies. Some winters will always kill off some of your soldiers. That makes sense, and it sucks, but it is, yeah. Even if you have full food, even if you have, the enough supply limit in a location, you're still going to lose some soldiers to winter, which is more realistic and more infuriating. People are not going to enjoy that. Pops living in climates of regular experience winters also have a higher demand for fur. Makes 100% sense. Food in winter. This is basically what I expected, right? Food production is severely reduced when winter comes, while pops still eat normally. Mild winter is a reduction of 25%, while severe winters basically reduce food production to 0. So unless there's a lot of food stored in the province, a severe winter may cause starvation in provinces or in locations. That's what I expected, right? That's what I keep saying about Imperator Invictus. This is the system that they had in that mod, where during the winter, food production stalls completely. Even if you're living in frickin' Syria, right? The food production during winter stalls and goes to 0. Actually, I have no idea what the winter is like in Syria, so I don't know why I brought that up. But even so, you don't have growth all year round for wheat. That's just not a thing. Even in, the most amazing climate in the world, that's just not a thing, especially not in this period. We don't have greenhouses, for example, or hydroponic farms. But this is basically what I expected, and it was something that kind of worried me, because in Imperator Invictus, the only thing that really changes, you don't change your gameplay at all. Maybe you build an extra couple of granaries to store more food. But the only thing that really changes your gameplay is you get a little bit annoyed by a little pop-up that says, by the way, your province is starving. But that's going to go away in a couple of months because they're going to start getting food again. So that's probably still going to be a thing. You're probably still going to get that notification that a location is starving, or maybe a province is starving, or an area is starving. Though the fact that they can pull food from the market is probably going to be something that can help alleviate that for sure. But yeah, I wasn't expecting any of the rest of what I'm about to say, because what I'm about to say is constructions. One of the drawback of winter is that normal and severe winter will impact construction. Makes sense. Again, I live in Finland. In Finland, it snows a lot during the winter, and basically what we have is half of the year where construction companies are repairing roads from them being damaged by freeze-thaw action winter stuff, and then they stop during winter because they can't build anything. People building, a new shopping center sort of kind of went up in my town recently, and there is nothing happening during winter because the ground's frickin' frozen. You can't build. The construction companies only work for 6 months out of the year. Again, and that is with all the modern conveniences. You just couldn't do it in this period. So, what impact do we have in EU5? We're talking about stalling completely construction. Makes sense. Affects everything from constructing a building to building a ship. Fantastic. This is what we expected, right? Or what people have been asking for a long time. A big part of Russian foreign policy is toxic, is that they require warm water ports because, the ports that they have in, for example, St. Petersburg, Arkhangelsk, etc., are ports that will freeze over in the winter. And that really sucks if you want a functioning, trade economy to go via water. So they required, or wanted warm water ports. Being able to not build ships during winter, that's an insane level of, modeling that. But that's not everything, though. We'll get to it. It makes the gameplay experience in a country like Sweden or Norway a bit more difficult, as you have to plan around the fact that you lose several months of the year at times. That's awesome. So we have this mason building in Hudiksvall, but it's currently stalled. No construction going on because it is winter. Makes so much sense. That's awesome. But again, that's not all. We got the freezing seas. We got the frozen bloody seas. That's awesome. Narrows, inland seas, and lakes have the possibility of freezing over during winter. This can happen when a sea zone has had severe winter for over a week and then will last until winter is no longer severe in that location. That is so cool. What does freezing seas do? A frozen sea zone can be traversed by armies. That's insane. That is insane. That is... Okay, so we have two really prominent examples of this. From the top of my memory, this is not something I've looked into. I read this and then I was like, fuck, gotta make a video. But if I looked into it, I could probably find more examples. We have the battle on ice between the Teutons, or I guess the Crusading army of the north, versus, I believe, the Removans, I want to say. That really... The example picture that everyone gets when they look for images of the Teutonic Knights, they're all charging over the frozen sea. Exact. It's that, right? I guess the Napoleonic battles against Russia, there was a battle on a lake that was frozen as well. Pretty sure that happened as well. I can't remember exactly what it is. But anyway, and the other one is the straits between Denmark and Sweden froze over, and they fucking marched an army across the frozen literal sea, which is, I would imagine, the biggest inspiration for adding this element to the game. And I just think that's so incredibly cool. I think it's so incredibly cool. Being able to march armies across frozen seas is something that it wasn't even in my wildest dreams when I was thinking about how EU5 would function. That is so far beyond it. Wow, okay. It allows greater military control of the lands it reaches. However, control as a concept, as a mechanic, you get more control, or surely it'd be less control. More military control because you can bring your army there, but less control because control is maritime presence impacted, right? And if you got frozen water, you can't bring your boats to get your control. But anyway, however, it will cause navies to get stuck until it thaws. Oh my fucking god. That is, like, again, warm water ports, kind of freaking important. If your navy just gets stuck for, 6 months of the year in the far north because, the winter is so bad, that is incredible. That's so incredible. Also, your boats won't be able to dock. If your boats are out of port and you want to get them home, and the frickin' sea freezes, your navy can't enter that sea zone. It's frozen over. They're not going home. So if you're, like, struggling for, to supply your navy with food so it doesn't, like, everyone on board dies of starvation, maybe find a friendly port to dock in, because you're not going home. The sea's frozen. Also, I skipped over it, but what happens if the sea thaws, right? Be careful when the weather changes. It can thaw with catastrophic consequences if an army is on the ice. I'm worried for the AI. I am worried for the AI. Oh my god, imagine if you managed to get an enemy army to, bait them into attacking you, and they're on the ice, and you maybe surround that army with bigger armies, so they're too scared to attack because they'll lose. But they can't move because they have no path, so they just stand on the ice and it thaws and they all die. Oh, imagine. So we have the Gulf of Bothnia, which is the sea between Finland and Sweden. And if you ever hear seagulls in the background of my videos, that's it. Gulf of Bothnia, seagulls. It makes sense. So it's frozen over because it's severe winter. It's an inland sea. It's in Scandinavia. Climate is Arctic, sure. And I guess that is why, as well, we have, if we pop over here, one thing I was wondering about and really confused about for a long time is when we look at the climate maps of places, I was always curious and I didn't know why we had this, right? We had climates for the oceans, right? I would not have said that this sea was tropical or this sea here was arid or here was I didn't understand why. But now that all makes sense because, the sea is Arctic, therefore it can freeze. That makes sense. But that's not all, because there's more. Mountains. You already know that warfare during winter is a bit more risky. Yeah, you don't say. Project Caesar adds another element to it. Any location with a topography of mountain will be blocked for army movement during normal and severe winters. That's awesome. That is, I imagine, part of the reason why there are so much fewer in the way of wastelands in regions like the Carpathian Mountains, right? Those I mentioned in the video I made yesterday that the Carpathian Mountains had not as many wasteland army movement blocking areas as EU4, and I was a little bit disappointed by that because I quite like the fact that these mountain ranges blocked army movement. In the winter, they're just gonna do that anyway. Because that's all mountains, and it will be blocked for army movement in the winter, during normal and severe winters, of course. But I mean, I feel like in winter you're just not gonna want to invade someone over a mountain. It just seems like an easy way to get yourself trapped. And if you time a counterattack maybe at the right time, the enemy not being able to retreat back over mountains could be a really big way of adding a bit of a top layer strategy onto your wars. That's incredible. Awesome. It can help create natural borders and some interesting strategic gameplay. Love that. Here we have a tooltip for the winter level. Winter level is the severity of winter in a location. Harsher winter will halt constructions and even freeze over some shallow sea zones. Armies are unable to move into locations with mountain topography during normal severe winter. The maximum winter level the location can experience is dependent on the local climate. Winter levels are no, mild, normal, and severe winter. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good tooltip. Obviously, we have nested tooltips in EU5. Mountains here, no winter, mild winter, etc. will all be nested. I imagine all these blue words will also be nested tooltips. Yeah, no, this was way more than what I was expecting. Just to a point of absurdity. I I think this is all part as well of you know how we've had quite a lot of comments from Johan and Pavia basically saying this is something that we want, but it is dependent on whether the code will be ready by then, right? And I assumed, posited, theorized that it was going to be based on, the engine, Clausewitz, getting an upgrade or an update or a sequel. It's not really what you call an engine upgrade, but whatever. Whenever Paradox makes a new game, the engine is updated along with it, right? So it might not be that is, going to be Clausewitz with, now it's the Gemini layer since Imperata. Maybe it's going to be a new layer. That could also be a thing. Or just updating Gemini to, include the ability to change the map. And, a big part of why whenever they're saying, we hope to get the code base, updated to include this, they're always talking about whether they can have terrain change, right? Changing a forested vegetation location into a grassland or sparse, depending on your actions as a player. Even going so far as to have, the Dutch filling in the sea and reclaiming land. And maybe, when that was asked about it, they said maybe when the code base is available. I feel like this is a part of that, right? This is essentially they are changing sea into land during winter, during severe, mild, normal winters. That's essentially what we're getting right now. I imagine that might give a little bit of hope to the idea of being able to change vegetation. I hope so. I think that'd be cool if you could drain the wetlands, if you could deforest the forests and the woods. I think that'd be really cool. Change grassland into farmland with your actions, and that would be really, really cool. And I hope that is going to be possible. But this was not something that was on my radar at all. This is... I think this is phenomenal. I think this is so incredibly huge and so innovative, far beyond what I was expecting. And yeah, I love this. I think this is actually incredible. So I'm gonna leave it there. I am still sick, and being so excited is I can feel it in my chest right now. It is taking it out of me, but it's going with it, and now I'm gonna go cough my lungs out. But yeah. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Are you as excited about all of this as I am? Which part of this is the big one for you? For me, freezing seas. This, above and beyond basically everything else here, freezing seas is just mind-blowing that they're adding that. The mountains, awesome, love that. Food and winter, expected that. Constructions, I would say not too difficult to do, right? I think that, Invictus could add this, right, pretty easily. They already have this. This is just... Yeah. Wild. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Feel free to hit the subscribe button because that helps me out quite a bit, actually. Dopamine levels, the feeling of success, staving off existential dread and depression. All that really helps. Hit the like button as well. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And unfortunately, we will not be seeing you next Wednesday because there will not be one. They're having a holiday. But after that, in a week's time after that, they're going to be talking about Rhodes Development Prosperity. Very much looking forward to that. We'll also have video on Friday because they're going to be showing a Tinto map of Arabia. So that could be and should be very cool. And then, of course, I will look at all of the developer responses from Johan and others in this diary, maybe Saturday or Sunday. So, Yeah. Thoughts in the comments, and I will see you on frickin' Friday. Bye bye.